I was gonna be the only one bringing samples for you guys.
You have to speak in the microphone. Has two roles. His role today mainly is going to be as a post-certified trainer for law enforcement for gas station drugs. He is also a trial attorney for the Weatherton law firm. He is currently doing post-certified training. And we will be, on a side note, studying other things. I know vaping is going to be one thing we're taking up since it's affecting adolescents, and there probably one or two other drugs as well within this committee. Mr. Cohen.
Mr. Townsend, thank you to the committee. Like you heard, my name's Eli Cohen. I'm an attorney at the Weatherington Law Firm. And let's make sure everyone understands, I represent families of loved ones who have died. I have about 15 of these cases across the country. The majority of them are here in Georgia. All these families were taking some kind of kratom, either extracts or raw kratom. I don't currently have any 7-OH cases, but we are starting to see those phone calls come in. My background is, before I was an attorney, I was a police officer here in Georgia for 12 years. I started just down the street at Georgia State University because somebody told me that the legislature created a system where if you're a full-time employee, you get free school. And that's how I paid for undergrad. Then I did 8 years in Sandy Springs, where I worked on all kinds of units, with my last 3 years being on the SWAT team. And that was a lot of fun. And then again, because I just like people telling me what to wear, I'm also been in the Army Reserves for the last 15 years, currently a major and an intelligence officer with a top secret clearance. I'm here to tell you kind of the landscape of Georgia, and kind of talk about like what has Georgia already done and what have we seen since that happened. As you guys know, there was an amendment to the previous Kratom Consumer Protection Act in 2024 that did several things, right? It raised the age to 21. It limited the amount of mitragynine that can be in a product to 150 milligrams. It also limited the amount of 7-OH that can be in a product per serving to 1 milligram. That already exists in Georgia for 7-OH. And it also prevents synthetics, things like pseudodoxil, from being in these products. And what you see getting passed around are products that a lot of people, I've gone and bought products. And then I've sent them actually to Dr. McCurdy down here because his lab tests them, which is what you see attached to those. And on several of those products that I am passing around, you're going to see two things. Some products you're going to see that are labeled as 7-hydroxy mitragynine and have 30, 40, 50, 80 milligrams of 7-OH in them. That is already illegal in Georgia. But the issue is the enforcement is not happening because it's hard to enforce these products. The other thing you're going to see is you're going to see several companies started selling things as pseudodoxil because, hey, 7-OH is banned. Let me just sell it as pseudodoxil. And so I passed them around. I brought one up to show you because this is my favorite one. I'll let you read that for yourself if you can. This product that they're selling you, let everybody else see it. It is labeled as a pseudo-indoxil product, but as Dr. McCurdy tested, it actually has more than 9 milligrams of 7-OH in the product. That is what we're seeing on the shelves of Georgia in both smoke shops and in gas stations throughout the country. And that is just consistent. The same is true with some of the other kratom products that I'm passing around, the extracts and the just raw powders. These companies are not abiding by the regulations that you've already put in place. And why is that? Well, regulation is hard. It is hard for law enforcement to walk into every single one of these gas stations, buy the product, or know that the product is illegal by looking at the label. It is, law enforcement is not in the business of walking into a gas station, doing what I've done, buying a product, sending it to a lab, paying for the test, and then coming back with the results in order to write a warrant. It's just not something that gets done. The regulation is really hard, which is why I think what you've heard here today is that where you can buy it is so important. Removing these from especially gas stations and probably smoke shops is smart. We already have a system of well-regulated sellers of some of these kinds of drugs. Your low THC oil laws already have these things. You heard the dispensaries. That could be a place where kratom could go to get it out of these companies, these gas stations and smoke shops that don't seem to care about the laws that you've passed. So there's something that I would strongly encourage you to think about as we move forward. The other thing I want the committee to think about is what should even be on the market here in Georgia. I'm going to throw this out here now because I think at some point the kratom advocates that are in the front row and throughout are going to get to talk. I don't think the extract should be sold at all, period, full stop. And I'd love to hear their thoughts on that as well. The majority of my cases involve extracts. Why? Because the kratom powder per gram may have 10, 12 milligrams of metragenine in it, as opposed to some of the products you see getting passed around. Some bottles will have 300 milligrams of metragenine in a single 5, 10 ounce bottle. It is absolutely insane the amount of metragenine that you can shove into your body with the products that are on the market. And there's just no reason. There are no human studies that have gone the distance that is tested using kratom, raw or extract, over a long period of time. You've heard about a single ascending dose, where these individuals, many of whom were not opiate naive, or at least had used some opiates in the past, but were otherwise healthy, were in these studies. That is exactly the kind of study that should happen, that first level study. But it's not, no drug would be sold off of a single ascending dose, off of a single dose study. And we are not at a point where we can say any of these products are safe, but at the very least, as a compromise to save some of these citizens, you should seriously consider banning extracts. Other things I want to mention.
Yeah, real quick too, don't forget, talk a little about the post-certified training, and
Yep.
we do have one more speaker.
So one of the things I've done, because of the gap in the knowledge of law enforcement, is I created a class for police officers in Georgia. While I was a police officer, I got certified as both a field training officer and a certified general instructor. I think the term is now I'm a senior instructor under post rules. And so I created a 2-hour course of instruction for post-certified police officers to receive credit. And we cover kind of 2 broad areas. Number one, we cover kratom. Because I want to empower the officers to be able to look at a label and immediately know if that label is valid or not. Because if a store is selling illegal label, that's a misdemeanor. That is something they can go after immediately, and it doesn't require testing the product. But that takes a while to teach and pass along those classes. The other thing we cover are other gas station drugs, mostly focused on THC, Delta 8, Delta 9, and low THC oil products, because again, those laws are still relatively new, and helping officers understand what's legal, because the same is true for kratom as it is for the THC products. And I have some in my magic bag if you want to see it later. The same places that are selling these kratom products that are not properly labeled and are often mislabeled and adulterated with stuff with higher levels of 7-OH that they're allowed to have, or sometimes lying about what's actually in the product, are doing the same thing with low THC, with Delta 8 or Delta 9 products and hemp products, which is, again, it's just evidence that these businesses, unfortunately, aren't doing the right things for Georgians and maybe shouldn't be trusted. There's a reason why we don't sell low THC oil in gas stations, and that might be true for a lot more products than just low THC oils. So I know we're running out of time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to open up for questions if I could.
Sure, thank you, Eli. Dr. Al, Representative Al.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to draw attention to 2 of these exhibits that you brought, because it's actually pretty interesting if we're talking about approach to labeling and regulating that. This first one, called Hush Kratom Energy Drink, I noticed that in terms of the active ingredients that it lists for total mitragynine content about 65 milligrams, which is above the threshold for sedation, as one of our earlier pharmacology experts testified. But it also contains 80 milligrams of caffeine, which is the same amount as in a Red Bull. I just held them up to each other to check. Just to note that there's a phenomenon of a beverage that was banned, actually. Four Loko, we remember from 2010, was banned because it contained both alcohol, which is a depressant, and a high content of caffeine, and it made it dangerous because the caffeine masked the effects of the depressant. So that's something we may want to consider in terms of concurrent active substances packaged with something that is a depressant and may affect your sensorium and mental status. So that's the one thing. The second thing is this tablet here.
The dopium?
You know what I'm going to say, right? This is an extract that we talked about, the 7-hydroxy extract, which is not the pure leaf kratom we talked about. It is 80 milligrams, which is, again, above the depressant threshold for dosage. And just in terms of the marketing, we can say it's marketed for this and that, and it's safe and all these things, but to explicitly label this supplement as dopium maybe gives away the game a little bit of what they're trying to appeal to and what message they're trying to send to people for this.
That's absolutely right. One of the products you have that the other representative brought in right in front of you, the Malay Kratom bag, it's OPMS Kratom. They used to just call themselves OPM Kratom. They literally call themselves opium. But, you know, these companies are not hiding the ball. And in
Right.
fact, OPMS Kratom is one of the largest supporters of the American Kratom Association. But even they, you know, and again, I am directly suing them in 5 states right now. And so these companies continue, they're not hiding the ball on what they're selling. They're
Yeah.
selling what they want consumers to know as opium.
Sure.
And again, they're not doing it the way you've already told them they need to. And the products that continue to hit the market, this is true both in Kratom and other gas station drugs like Delta 8. There's a race to the top. I need to make the strongest product in order to sell my product. One of the things we've heard since 7OH has become a problem is that raw leaf and even extract manufacturers are saying, I'm losing so much business to 7OH. Like I'm gonna go out of business because of 7OH. If you are losing your business to a better drug, you're not actually providing that kind of like that public health service. You're just a drug dealer, right? It's almost as if a cocaine dealer is complaining about crack, in my opinion. It's just not legitimate. So again, is there a place probably for some kind of use of kratom as a treatment in low dosages as a raw powder form? Maybe. But extracts and anything beyond that, 7OH and the synthetics, you should ban them.
Certainly, and then just to wrap it up, you know, I've noticed a lot of the marketing does lean on this sort of like natural botanical leaf symbology as sort of, I guess, indicating that it's safe and natural as an alternative for whatever you're trying to treat. But just to remind people, you know, just because it comes from a plant doesn't mean it's safe, because as we know, opium comes from a plant, cocaine comes from a plant, cannabis is from a plant, you know, so just to put that out there.
Thank you, Representative Al. Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go online now to Michael Templeton. He is DEA Special Agent, retired CEO of Barrister Intelligence. And this is the last witness of the meeting, and thank you for everybody for sticking with the hot air in here, or no air.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. We're trying to get you on TV.
Okay, you let me know when I can go.
You're on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak today.